Hey there guys, it's Skipper Megan. As always, if you are new, then welcome aboard, and if you are returning, then welcome back. As you can see, I have returned to the big comfy couch. There's no more iPhone videos for this week. Hopefully that quality wasn't too bad for you, but we are back in our normal spot. Super interesting in my living room, I know. This week I am going to talk a little bit about some of the less than positive, I'm not going to say negative, but the less than positive things about being a Disney cast member. These aren't things that would in any way make it not worth it to be a cast member. These are just the things that are not all magical and rainbows and sunshine. So obviously I loved the college program. I loved being a cast member. I would go back tomorrow if they told me I could. So this is not anything that would deter me from doing the college program or being a cast member again. So don't let any of these things deter you if you are considering applying for the college program or applying for a job at Disney. But these are just some of the things that are, like I said, less than positive. So the first one is kind of obvious if you watched my video last week, which if you haven't, I'm going to link it right up there. You can check that out, click that little eye. But that is, you're going to have some guest interactions that are not always going to be super positive. You're going to have creepy guests like I talked about last week. You're going to have rude guests. You're going to have entitled guests. You're going to have just people who are just not all that thrilled to be at Walt Disney World. As strange as that may sound, people are not always their happiest at the most magical place on earth. So you're going to have interactions with people that are not just super happy, upbeat, people who are exuding sunshine and life at the moment. Another pretty obvious negative about working at Disney World is it's in Florida. It's hot. It's hotter than Hades most days, and it's humid as all get out. So if you don't like being in the heat, that's going to be a negative. The heat was not usually that big a deal for me in my particular role because the Jungle Cruise is on the water and it's under trees. So a lot of the time that I was there, I was in the shade, but it was still excruciatingly hot, especially during the summer months. And so that was definitely something that a lot of people would think is a negative about working at Disney World is you're going to be in the heat for most of the year. Kind of going along with the heat is the physical exertion, I guess, that is required as a cast member because you don't, unless your role requires it, you don't get to sit down during your shift if you are on stage. So obviously you can sit down during your breaks and all that when you're not in front of guests, but if you are working at an attraction, you don't get to just sit down and tell people, you know, come on in. That's fine. You don't get to do that. You have to stand up the entire time, and shifts usually range anywhere from 6 to 12 hours. So my core and my back got really, really strong over that 6 months that I was working there because you are constantly standing up, and you're standing up very straight and very tall and very happy. So, you know, you're going to be working on all of those core muscles for that entire time that you're standing there. And that can sometimes be a little bit difficult, especially when you're starting out. I thought that I was going to die the first month that I was there because my back hurt so bad just from standing up the entire shift all day, every day. Another thing that is not super exciting and not super great about working at Disney is the Disney look and the costuming that you're required to adhere to while you are on stage working at Disney. And you know, obviously things like, you can't probably tell in my super great lighting, but my hair is pretty bright red right now. It's not Ariel red, but it's pretty red, and it would not be allowed on Disney grounds. So if you're interested in what the Disney look actually entails, all of the details, I've done a video about it a couple months back. I'll link it down below with the little floating eye up there somewhere, and you can check that out if you are interested. But just multiple things about the Disney look kind of restrict what you can actually do as far as your appearance. So it just is an extra added level of stress as far as like getting ready. It's like, oh, is this going to be okay? Or am I going to get sent home? Are my nails too long? Are they a weird color? All of that kind of thing. So that's just something that you don't get to be really creative with your appearance, and if that doesn't bother you, then this is not going to be a negative for you. But for people who like to experiment with their hair, with their nails, with their jewelry and things like that, that would be something that would be kind of considered a negative, I guess. And the other thing going along with that is the costuming. And that's one of the only things about the Disney look that really bothered me personally. I didn't have any tattoos. I didn't have any weird piercings or anything at the time, so that wasn't that big a deal for me. But the costuming, depending on where you work, your costume may require a lot of elements. If you work at the Haunted Mansion, for instance, you're going to have like a jacket for guys. You're going to have a long sleeve dress for girls. It's going to be excruciatingly hot for some things. And all of the costumes are made out of a super nice polyester blend, so they breathe just super well in the wonderful Florida humidity. If you get wet, it's gonna stay wet for forever, and it doesn't wrinkle. That's awesome. You can ball it up and throw it in a ball in the bottom of your bag, and it's fine. But it's not real forgiving as far as fabrics go. So the costuming it's not real flattering, and it's not real comfortable, but it is what you have to wear. So if you work at Disney, that's one of those things that you're just going to have to be prepared for. A couple of things that apply specifically to cast members who are going to be working in the parks, and I'm going to obviously be referencing my time at the Magic Kingdom more than any other parks because that's all I really know from personal experience. But if you have EMH, extra magic hours, when I was there, Magic Kingdom sometimes had extra magic hours from midnight to 3 in the morning during the summer. So if that was the case, that was one of the things that I would consider a negative about my shift that day, because you would have to be there until, if you were closing, you'd have to be there until about 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning to get everything shut down and get the park cleared and everything once everyone was gone. So if you are not a particularly night-oriented person, if you don't like night shifts and you're applying for the college program, you're going to be in for a surprise, because if you're working in the parks and they have EMH, you're going to probably be there as a college program cast member. You're probably going to be there as late as possible, because that's the shifts that college program people get because of where you lie on the pecking order. That's just the shifts that you're going to be able to get, which is another one of the negatives, is the shifts. You're going to get the shifts that no one else wants. That was my experience. I got the shifts that no one else wanted. Late night, early morning sometimes, super long, and stroller parking. If you work in an attraction in any of the parks, during peak times, you may get pulled to go to do a stroller parking shift, which means you literally stand outside of an attraction that has one of the areas where people drop their strollers off. A lot of the big ones are like in Magic Kingdom are outside of Haunted Mansion and Liberty Square. There's one outside of Small World and Fantasyland, places like that where it's just giant conglomeration of strollers. So everyone who's going to any attraction in that area, this is where you drop your stroller before you go in. And the cast member's job is literally just to stand there and move strollers down. And you can do that for hours and hours and hours. And like I've mentioned probably 16 times at this point, Liberty Square is the surface of the sun. So I'm going to insert a picture here of what I looked like at the end of an 11-hour stroller parking shift around the 4th of July one year. Yeah, I'm looking super great there. The last kind of not so positive thing that I'm going to mention about working as a cast member is the expectations that are put on you as a cast member. Now, those could be expectations that are put on you from family and friends to get them tickets and, oh, you're working at Disney World, I'm going to come visit you and you're going to get me into the parks, right? That kind of thing. Or it could also be expectations from guests who come to Disney World. Guests visiting Walt Disney World oftentimes just assume that every cast member why am I choking to death? Guests visiting Disney World a lot of times will just assume that every cast member knows everything about Disney. That's not true. A lot of people know a lot about Disney, especially if they're just really interested in the company in general. But you cannot go to a cast member in Fantasyland and expect them to know what's happening in Hollywood Studios at the Tower of Terror. Now, if you ask us how to find something, most people should be able to do that, especially for their home park. So, if you went to someone at the Jungle Cruise, they could probably tell you how to get to Space Mountain. They could tell you how to get to Ariel. They could tell you how to go and meet Mickey where he is, all that kind of good stuff. But we cannot just intuitively know what the wait times are places. We can't know, well, this cast member told me that the wait time was going to be this and that I could go here and buy that. Well, we don't know. So if you are expecting every cast member on Disney property to know every single thing about Disney World, they're not going to. So that can sometimes wear on you when guests are constantly going, well, what are you good for? What? You don't know this? How can you even work here if you don't know what the wait time is at Tower of Terror right now? Sorry, I work in the Emporium. I don't know. So just things like that are things that can kind of wear on you and be a little bit less than positive. I think that is it for my list of things that were less than pleasant experiences working as a cast member. Like I said at the beginning, none of these things, cumulatively even, would be enough to make me not want to be a cast member again or make me deter someone. Got a cough again. None of these things would be enough to make me not want to be a cast member again or even deter someone from applying for the college program or going to apply for a job at Walt Disney World if that's something you wanted to do. It's just things that are going to happen. You have that experience no matter where you work. There's so few things that do actually go wrong and that could be considered a negative experience about working at Disney World, especially for as big a company as it is. There's plenty of opportunities for things to go wrong and be negative, and you just don't experience that many. This is the entire list that I could come up with. So that is just a couple of the things that you can think about if you are looking to be a cast member and you're worried about what is it really like to be a cast member. All these things can't possibly be just that amazing and magical and sunshine. So that is it. I think I'm done coughing now. If you like this video, if you want some more tips and tricks as far as being a cast member or experiences from a cast member, go ahead and give me a like down below and make sure you hit that red button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, y'all.